So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now there's a lot of controversy over whether you keep the same folds year after year or whether you change where that's folded.
It's a wear spot.
And yeah, because it's a wear spot, because if you fold and bend, then you look up in the light, you might see where the nylon doesn't break down, the coating breaks down in that area. Well, I'm happy to announce the newer fabrics, like the 1990 version fabrics, the processing is far better and you don't even worry about it. On the older fabrics, when you look up, you might see some areas where it's not consistent. This was a function of creasing and also using a lot of seconds, because none of the hang glider pilots wanted to use first quality because they cost twice as much. Okay, so here.
They also used to say that you should let it rest overnight, open.
3.
Is that the same reason?
I think it's probably the same reason. On the newer parachute fabrics, you don't need to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, from here, okay, this is really important. On our deployments, sometimes they're high speed, sometimes they're low speed. If we threw this parachute out of an airplane at high speed, all of these gores would go, leaving the air channel, the lowest part where the air would fill up first. It would give it a nice symmetrical opening at high speed. Now, we don't go to high speed. We're often at very slow speed. So what we're going to do is force the air in the air channel by doing this little 45-degree fold when we pack it. Okay, this is a real important fold because, again, to have a good symmetrical opening, you want to force the air into the center so that it can open symmetrically. Some of the paraglider rigs, they actually pack them asymmetrically. They force an asymmetrical opening with a lot of rubbing and this and that because they claim that they're going too slow for it to make a difference. I don't get it. This has been a standard packing method in the military for many, many, many years. It works. That's why they stick with it. And so we're not reinventing the wheel here. Okay, from here, I'm going to open this just a little bit to get, again, I want to make sure there's a little air channel in there. And I'm going to fold this into thirds. Okay, may have a weight.
Want some choppers?
No, I'll use hands.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
Weights to hold things down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
We use shop bags.
when you first fold it, it's very fluffy. There's a lot of air in it. So I never use hands to push the air out because often you have a hangnail, you have calluses. This is very fragile material. It snags very, very easily and your life depends on it, so you want to take good care of it. So I like to use my forearm. So I'll just come up here, hold on, and
Feel the air.
yeah. You always push the air out towards the opening. If I were pushing it that way, it'd be a lot harder to get out. Okay, I have small hands, so I like to fold it in thirds again. Okay,
Saw that coming right off.
okay, there you go. Okay, now I've seen some people, thank you, and here too. I've seen some people roll. Now, rolling is a good technique if you want to slow down your deployment. Okay, so we like to just kind of fold it. Some people fold it in thirds, then half. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. Deployment bag, can you grab it, please?
Is this?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yank on it?
Just a little. Yeah.
It's only one stitch,
Yeah.
should be alright?
Yeah.
Or should they lay another stitch on?
We can lay another stitch in. Okay. Deployment bags are real important. Most of you have one that's similar to this, where you have a line compartment and a parachute compartment. So we want to put the parachute into the deployment bag just the opposite of how we want it to come out. Okay, in Europe there was a group that that had a deployment bag, homemade deployment bag. What they did is they folded the canopy in thirds, then they Z-folded it. Basically they did this, they pushed everything together and slid it into the deployment bag. Now, what you end up with the Z-fold technique is a nice flat bag. You know, it's nice and smooth, everything's great. But now let's think about it. You have a clump of parachute Z-folded, pushed in. When you pull on the lines, what happens? The whole clump comes out. If it's tight enough, it'll come out one at a time, but often we've seen everything come out, and once again you have your whole parachute exposed to the air in a clump. It's going to push against the path of least resistance, and you're asking for malfunctions. What we're going to do here is we're going to S-fold. We're going to zigzag the canopy in so it wants to spring out. Okay, we get a lumpier pack that way. We don't get the nice flat pack, but we think of function. In fact, later when we look at parachute design, we're going to be looking a lot at the function. If you notice, most of your parachutes have a webbing reinforcement or a ribbon on the outside of the parachute. You have reinforcement up at the top and down at the skirt. So the reason we do that is so that if at any time your material, fragile material, splits, you still have a structure holding it together. You're still going to come down under canopy. It's not horrible. What we worry about is when the structure is lacking. And I know of one parachute here that has a lacking structure, and hopefully we can show that to you in a little while.
Does this one have a circumferential band?
Circumferential? No, we didn't need it, but we have Spectra or Kevlar skirt and vent reinforcement. Okay, so one of the most important things when the packer is packing that you need to remember is to take off the packing assist line before you put it in the bag. So
It won't work well with that anyway.
no. In fact, I remember distinctly waking up one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had packed a chute, and I'd know that I wasn't paying good attention, and I forgot if I'd taken this off or not. Now in our shop, we have these connected to the carabiner, but every once in a while you get lazy and you just unhook it like I just did here. And so I worried all night that I was going to forget to call the guy. 6 o'clock in the morning, I called him up and I said, look, I don't remember can you please look in your parachute and send it back? And he did. It was gone, but the parachute was such a mess when he looked for it that I repacked it anyway. So these must come off. That's why we have the big flag. If you do have a PDA and can't find one of these, we also have some colored ribbons there that you can use. These are great. It's just a shoelace and they work wonders. Okay. When I pack here, did I tell you you could move?
Nope.
Okay.
Wow, good touch.
It's her way of telling us she loves you. We know how you guys, Betty.
So here I'm S-folding.
They were gonna have a wrestling match. I didn't think he was gonna let go.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Well, it's
Okay, the S fold, this is going to spring out. The Z fold is up and down, compressed, and slid in. Oh,
We call this Z folding. Either way you do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it
It's
looks
just
like
it's just how you position the parachute, side or top.
Okay.
so
Yeah,
no biggie.
in paraglider lingo, they have S and Z.
Yeah.
Okay.
so the last one.
So if you know,
You want the last one to end up like that?
it can end up anywhere towards the opening.
I got it.
Yeah, some packers who are just learning how to pack will get this just like a couple inches over and they think, well, I'll just shove it in the side. That's nice and neat. Well, we really don't want to do that. Again, we look back and we think about function. What do you want? When the parachute's at this point, you want the air channel exposed to the air as quickly as possible. If you're coming down very slowly, the force of the air coming in the air channel will just pop this bag right off. It just, as it fills up, it just goes away. If you're coming down faster, the parachute, the deployment bag will actually come all the way off as the air is filling up. Okay, from here, what we're going to do is lock off our parachute compartment. To do that, we use the rubber band and we run it through the grommet. And here, well, I'm going to do it the other way. I always pull on the lines. I want to keep them nice and straight. So I'm doing the first locking stow, just like this. Can you undo that end, please? Okay, now the loop is important. If you get the loop too large and it starts to flare out, with these rubber bands it'll still come out, but it can set rubber bands into this roll thing. Some of you, as you look at your rubber bands, might see them like, who had the O-rings?